Quentin, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure.
Right. So this is wow, you started off. So you went to university, you studied something, then you came out. Your first thing that you did, was that the first thing you did, setting up a car dealership?
I'd always been tinkering with cars between school and university, and my earliest recollection is being fascinated with them, absolutely, because they were a thing which increased your personal magnetism by 100%. If you had a nice car, all the girls would want to talk to you. So at university, I was going to, campus in Jensens and old Maseratis, which you could buy for literally a couple of £1,000. And I remember spending all the money I was paid in a grant to buy books on this lovely Ford Granada 3-litre GXL, because it was just, why wouldn't you? So, and the Sweeney and Jack Regan and all that.
Oh, yeah, I remember all that. I used to love that.
So always been fascinated with cars, and then started up buying and selling them, and then writing about them because I'd studied English. And then I got the phone call one day from a man who sounded like a vicar on Top Gear, the BBC. Would you like to come and present? And that's it. The rest, as they say, is history. Wow.
Well, what was that like? Because you presented with Jeremy Clarkson. What's he like?
We kind of arrived almost at the same time. And look, he is unquestionably Britain's best motoring authority, without a question. Nobody has ever eclipsed him, nor, I think, will they. To work with, he was, what's the word I'm looking for, challenging. As lots and lots of people, not least small countries, found out when they queued up to complain at Television Centre to the Director General that they were making fun of Mexico or China or, it was just relentless. But that was the power we had then, and we changed the way people talked about cars. Because back then, it was a very closed automotive journalistic world where you got the free car or the loan car and the flight to the launch and the five-star hotel. And we didn't want any of that because we were BBC, so we just told it like it was. And I remember the managing director of Renault saying to his ad agency, after we'd said something nasty about his Renault Spider, I want you to cancel all the adverts on the BBC. Well, actually, we don't have any. So we just carried on, and I think cars were better. Manufacturers made cars more interesting, and they listened to me about build quality and service intervals and all that sort of thing. So I like to think we changed.
Well, your best car ever, your favourite car? Don't say an electric one.
No. The best car that I have ever driven is the McLaren F1.
Oh, wow.
And that was... It does 240 miles an hour, but I think I only got up to 194. And Clarkson just said, well, you're a complete wuss, But that was wonderful. Really, really, really incredible British car as well.
I think mine was a Jaguar XK8 convertible.
Lovely.
It was lovely. It was a 5.4 plate, so before they turned...
before they turned into the... Yeah.
But my first ever car was actually a Cortina Mark III, I think it was, left-hand drive.
Lovely.
It took the corners like a boat.
It's worth some money now.
Unfortunately, well, thankfully, it's gone.
I had a Jaguar XK8 convertible and drove it through an Italian checkpoint, and had been going far too fast on the Italian autostrada, and I thought I was in real trouble. And the Italian policeman looked at the car, kissed the bonnet and said, "La bella macchina, go, go, go."
That is the style, that is the style. You've done lots of different shows, though. So it's not just... what happened then? Because I remember Top Gear, you left, and then Fifth Gear came along. What happened there? Was it...
OK, well, Jeremy left, and then they brought people in from Los Angeles who told us to... This is all the BBC kind of going woke, and that this was the first stirrings of it. And would tell Tiff and I, Tiff Nadell, who presented it as well, and we were in our late 40s, early 50s, to put gel in our hair and wear our shirts outside our trousers, because more people would watch, and that sort of nonsense. And we did a piece in America making gentle fun of the Americans and their big, large cars that you can't park and that they don't handle. And then all these jokes were cut out of this piece with a kind of editorial censorship that we'd never had before as a programme. So we huffed and we puffed, and Jeremy walked out and did his own thing. And then I couldn't stand it and walked out too. But then I started Fifth Gear with Vicky and Tiff, and then Jeremy started the new Top Gear. So, that's history, and that's the way it goes.
Top Gear was very, very good. Although I watched them on Amazon Prime. What's it called now? The other thing they do. They've stopped doing
Grand Tour.
Grand Tour. My son, Ivory, he's 5 now. He watches it all the time. In fact, one time he was in the bath and he used a swear word. And I said, who's that? And my daughter went, it was Ivory. She goes, she's been watching too much Grand Tour. A little 5-year-old. Bless his heart, bless his heart. So weren't you also on Strictly?
Yeah, second series of Strictly. And look, I have no shame here. I did it knowing in full well that I dance like a JCB. You know, I'm completely uncoordinated. And I said to my wife when they asked me, should I do Strictly? And she said, if you want to make a complete fool of yourself, yes. And look, I'm a great believer in self-deprecation. That it's good if you're in the public eye to make fun of yourself, not take yourself too seriously. So I did it in the full and certain knowledge that this was going to be a disaster, and disaster it was.
Yes.
And it was 8 out of 40. And Bruno said it was like watching a Reliant Robin circling a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But I have no regrets because it was good, and people still remember it, still come up to me and say, "You're so brave."
And you came where? Were you out immediately?
Oh, I was. Yeah, I mean, it was first off the bus.
First off,
Yeah.
I thought so. I thought I'll let you tell me that. No, I read somewhere that you're one of a twin. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there another one of you?
A twin brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he an identical twin?
No, mercifully not. I think if you're identical twins, you really have a hard time with establishing an identity. So he went to Cambridge and did modern languages, and he does his own thing. And yeah, I mean, being twins is hard. It's quite difficult. Because
I don't think I can handle it. Because I'd be extremely jealous, especially if the twin looked like me and was slightly thinner or slightly...
And there's a kind of connection you don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, when they hurt, you hurt, and all that sort of thing. It's really difficult to put into words. But I mean, I guess it's great having a companion in your childhood and in your later life. But it's not as easy as it looks.
No, it doesn't. Well, it's like you've got a best friend, though, for life.
Yeah.
Or not unless you don't like each other, then you've got somebody who hates you for life. But
Quite.
that generally is the way with brothers and sisters in the end, isn't it? Now, since you've done a lot of TV, a lot of writing and things, but now you've got yourself behind different campaigns. I know you love electric cars, but I know you're dealing with Fair Fuel UK and other sort of work. Tell me a bit about that.
OK, so I was the co-founder of Fair Fuel UK, and that was back in 2011 when we saw Alistair Darling enact that fuel escalator. So he was Chancellor of the Exchequer at the time, and he said that fuel must go up by a set margin every budget. So we did the maths and thought, whoa, this is going to be bad for GDP. So we started up, and this was Peter Carroll, who did the Tendo Consulting Gurkha campaign with Joanna Lumley. Mm-hmm. And we started up this campaign, and it's kitchen table lobbying. So no money and just being clever about political lobbying. And we managed 12 years of no fuel duty rises. All those successive governments and successive chancellors of the Exchequer listened to us, and we had, huge followings of people who would email both the Chancellor and the Treasury and their MP. And it managed to keep fuel at this level and keep the duty and the VAT down. But I left Fair Fuel about a year and a half ago because, and I make no apologies of what I did. That money, 120 billion we saved, and The Guardian called it the most successful single-issue political lobbying campaign in modern British political history. So that 120 billion went back into the pockets of people who drive and hard-working people who find it difficult. And you get lots of brickbats about that money should have been spent on hospitals and things like that. It went back into the economy. So I don't feel any guilt about that. But that was then and this is now. And I think we now have the technology where we can drive, as I have done today, 300 miles on electricity alone.
No.
Yeah.
You didn't get the heebie-jeebies that you're going to run out?
Nope.
It must be a Tesla. Obviously,
yes,
yeah.
Other makes of electric car are available.
Yeah, but you won't be able to charge them. Good luck with that.
But I stopped at a certain hamburger place and plugged it in there. And it's fine.
You have to sit around there, don't you? You have to sit there for a
20
bit.
minutes. Enough.
Listen, if you have a little couple of kids in the back and things like that going on, you can't sit around for 20 minutes.
Well, OK, look, but it doesn't inconvenience my life at all.
That's
and you
right.
stop for a KFC or a McDonald's, and by the time you finish, the car will tell you it's finished charging. And the big thing here, Nana, is that it cost me to do those 300 miles 8 quid, 9 quid. Now, in a
Well, that will change. That will change, though. Because you know how it starts. It starts off better, then it ends up being worse. It's a bit like diesel. They did it to diesel.
Yeah, Gordon Brown, 2001. That was absolutely unforgivable. And that's why we have the air quality problem, the particulate problem. And that's why I say, look, the things about electric car, it's clean air, It's energy security. We can't carry on buying oil from that Russian demagogue. And also, it's about the cost of living. You know, if we can get to where we want to go for a few pounds instead of hundreds, that has to be good. And then the global warming stuff we can argue about later.
Yeah. Well, it's also the cost of the car. Let's not forget.
Well, I know,
quite expensive.
but look, I have a campaign group called Fair Charge UK, and we are campaigning for lower charging costs. But also, I was talking to the Shadow Secretary of Transport the other day. We need to make electric cars more affordable. Absolutely.
Well, if they're going to fly,
no
they're going to have to be.
And in Scotland, they have an interest-free loan scheme. So I want us to have the same system here where, because electric cars don't depreciate, they go up in value, they can be underwritten, not as a wasting asset, but as something that appreciates. So you could make it cheaper for people to use electric cars, just for a week, a month, or whatever.
We'll see whether they
I know
catch
you're,
on. I don't
you're
think
an
they're going to catch
unbeliever,
on.
but it's my mission
They're
to
not going to
convert
catch on.
you.
I can't wait to buy myself a big old gas guzzler as soon as I can, as soon as I can afford it. Once my C1 that's done 170,000 miles. It has.
Citroen C1.
Citroen C1, I know.
Wow,
Look,
that's some sort of record.
Is it really? It loves me. I love it. I can't let you go without asking you about this whole situation with Boris, because I'm wondering what your view is of it, because I watched it. I didn't like what I saw, but what's your...
I'm probably the wrong man to ask, because I've worked with Boris. When he was Mayor of London, we did a lot together on, surprise, surprise, electric cars and charging. And would be photographed outside windy supermarket car parks with these electric chargers, which were then new. And I found him extremely kind of immersed in the subject, knowledgeable, polite, efficient, all that. So, you know, and I always say it how it is and how I know people from experience. I don't think he's as bad as he's painted. He did, I think, a very decent job with the Brexit, with the COVID, and with Ukraine. And what's the word he used? It's eccentric. Yeah. We're on the verge, possibly, of a war in Europe. Yeah. We have a massive cost of living crisis. We have a global energy crisis. Is now the right time? You know? I'm sorry, like him or loathe him, this is the wrong time to be doing this.
Well, I'm with you on there. And what about, and very briefly, the media? Did you think that they treated him fairly?
I thought it was revenge politics. And for people, no names mentioned, to have a website up and running in December, I mean, come on. You know, that's not nice. And then to be nice to everybody and his face and all the time scheming, it's et tu, Brute.
All of them.